productive Monday for a change. Obviously getting rid of 2 cars, big thing. What I'm trying to do at the minute is I'm probably going to try and see if I can trade on the Jag. I didn't want to because I like the car, it's a nice car, but in terms of just spending money for spending money's sake, I don't want to be doing that anymore. Trying to avoid projects, that's the main thing. I've also come to a bit of a revelation. Cheap cars, I'm just not going to bother with them anymore. So for instance, the Mitsubishi Colt, 1295, just not worth it. It's as simple as that. As much as it pains me to say it, because there's been plenty of times I've watched YouTubers who like, oh, there's no money in these cars, oh, you never made a killing out of them, but it's getting to the point now for me where I've got to sit here and I've got to be sensible about it. And unfortunately, I've got to be that guy that just says, it's not worth it. It's not. Not for me anyway. The Colt, by the time that sells, if I get the asking price for it, I think, just quick maths, 150 quid. Not worth it at all, not when you've got overheads. I'll be honest, it'd probably be more of a public service, if I am being completely honest with you, because you're just doing somebody a favour. But unfortunately, doing people favours doesn't earn you a wage, doesn't keep this thing that's above my head going. And if anything, it just kind of sucks a bit out of the business, because there's a lot of money tied up there now, which could go on to other stuff. So realistically, what I'm probably going to look to do is a minimum of 1495, because I know there's maybe not a lot of difference there, but if you take into consideration the sort of cars you can get at that difference, like my Yaris that I'm getting, my Clio, that's going to be 1695, stuff like that. The Avior, for instance, although not a lot of interest in it, that car, low mileage, looks good value for money. And I'll be honest, when somebody actually comes and has a good look at that and gives it a test ride, they'll just go, do you know what, that's actually a decent car. But the Colt, I just find that I'm battling against the Billy Boys and the John Joes and the, them sort of peoples, the guys with the big old chains and the big old saddle rings and things like that, who are selling them for £600-700. Probably go wrong in the first month if you're having it, but the difference between me and them is if it goes wrong in that first month, you pick up the phone, I'm going to answer and I'm going to help you out. But unfortunately, people don't see it that way. They see the price tags. So unfortunately, I am going to have to be that guy, and it's just not worth it anymore. But also, I was surprised. Obviously, C3's gone out. Offered them a tin of sweets. Said, oh, would you like a free tin of sweets? No, you're all right, thank you. So that's going well as well. Oh, you just can't win them all, can you? But we're just going to keep on plodding on, trying to tweak things here and there and see what happens. I've put the adverts out for the Dacia. I've refreshed the pictures on them, on the Dacia, on the Aveo, and on the Colt. The Dacia looks a right gem in them pictures. They all do, but I don't know, I just really like how the Sandero pictures look. The Stepway, by the way, not my Sandero. I mean, like, if anybody wants to come and buy my Sandero, we can do a deal. But yeah, so Jag, hopefully going. If I can't trade it out, I will just send it to the auctions, I think. I'd rather trade it on rather than send it to the auctions, because let's be fair, it'll probably be a week and a half before I see my money from the auctions anyway. So we'll just see what happens and we'll see what we can do. But got to keep them wheels turning, and hopefully tomorrow is just as good a day, because picking 2 cars up, it's going to be a long day, but the main thing is getting them cars in, because one already has interest. The person that had the viewing on the Avion, the Colt, on Saturday stated, I'm going to speak to my son about these 2 cars, but if not, I could definitely be interested in the Yaris that is coming in. Strangely enough, didn't want to know about the Colt or the Avio because he was concerned about parts availability. Even though he rocked up in a brand new MG, which I know for a fact difficult to get parts for. So yeah, we'll just see how things go. We'll keep plodding on. Right then, head of a busy day, got a space. The Jag has gone. That has been sold. Mixed emotions about it, because I did want to crack on with it, but it was just, I didn't want to plough too much money into the cars that I've got. I'd rather it go onto something else, but the money I've got for that is basically paid for the Yaris, which is good. Have I made any money on it? No, I haven't, but you know, the guy I've sold it to's sold it already. He's made himself a bit of a profit on it. Unfortunately, I'm not at the stage where I have them sort of connections in this business just yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So when I come back, there should be either a Yaris or a Clio in that space, and hopefully they all drive all right, both of them, because it's going to be a long day, but you never know. Also, while I was on my way in, obviously my trader friend was here waiting, said somebody came and had a look at the Colt. So you never know. And I also had a phone call today off a subscriber in Plymouth. I can't remember your name, and I didn't get your name, I didn't get your permission as to whether to give you a mention or not, but he's potentially interested in it. He just needs to weigh up whether the transport costs kind of ruin the deal for him a little bit, which is understandable. And yeah, so we're getting a bit of interest in it. Just nobody's committing that final bit, but somebody will. Basically, what I'm doing with this now is it's just going to sit here. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be putting any more adverts on Auto Trader, quite simply because it's going to end up costing me money, and having a cheap car like this sat around will come good at some point, because somebody will just message me saying, I've got X amount of money for a car, what have you got? And I'll pass that on to them, because it's a cracking car, fantastic. Why it hasn't sold, I do not know. But anyway, got myself a butty. I'm going to get myself fueled up and get ready to go and catch the train. So I'm here, got the 2 cars. Clio looks alright, not too bad. I do have a bit of tidying up to do. It looks like somebody has had a go at just rattle cannon over it, so I'm going to have to cut it back, see how much of a dent I can get out if I can, and tidy it up proper. It's not going to be perfect, I'll be honest. The whole car looks like it wants a machine polish. Yaris, the old whoopsie on the door, doesn't look too bad at all. If I don't smash my wing mirror off. Again, just want to tidy up, and the main thing so far, if I open it, is absolutely nothing wrong with them gears so far. I mean, like, we'll see what it's like once you get to driving. This is probably going to be the first one I take home, because it's got the most petrol in it. But so far, so good. Just come round the corner to drop the Clio off, and I've just seen something. I mean, look at the state of that. That is what happens when traders take the mick. The cars get absolutely destroyed. Right then, lovely fresh day. Look at this sunshine. Absolutely beautiful. Warming the back of my bald head up quite nicely. So, Yaris got me here. Obviously, regular viewers will know that I mentioned about in the mechanical checks, there was issue with the gears being stiff. It's not physically, stiff. It's when you stood there static, you can't find the gears. But I do believe the clutch is knackered. So I've got that booked in to get done. Looks like I was going to have a clutch. Also, the advisory for the exhaust looks like it wants doing as well. I've just got my hands and knees, had a quick peek. Looks like it wants doing. And then other than that, just basic prep work, essentially. Obviously, it wants tidying up and things like that. It's getting dropped off at the garage on Friday to get that done. So, I mean, like I could tinker around with it a little bit while I'm waiting to drop it off, and try and tidy up the scratch. But we'll see how we get on, because I've also got the Clio as well, which got me here. Took this home last night. Really nice car. Really nice car. Looks like it's absolutely popping, these two blue cars in this sunshine. So once I get them cleaned up and everything, they should look mint. This one, quite surprising is how good of a spec it is. It's the Tom, so it's got the sat nav and it's got the teeth of blue and things like that. So that is all good. In terms of tidying up, a little bit of a touching to do on this corner, and headlights want to polish, and then the little whoopsie on this corner here, which I should be able to do something with, which is good, because I don't want to have to take it to a body shop, because as well as getting its MOT done, I want to get these cars turned around as quick as possible. So hopefully we can get that sorted, and hopefully we can get it done in a timely fashion so I can get them up for sale properly. But what I'm going to do for the time being is I'm going to have a go at doing the dent, because it'll help me make decisions as to what I'm doing. Plus, potentially somebody already interested in this car. So, fingers crossed they haven't decided to leave planet Earth and just disappear on us. So, we'll just see how that goes. Still getting a little bit of interest in the Colt, but nobody's going that last inch. You never know. But as I said, it'll just stay there now until somebody comes and buys it. Can I make it any cheaper? Not really. 12 months test service, warranty, whatever you want. All I need is somebody to message you saying, I've got 1,200 quid for a car, and I go, there you go. So, while I'm on as well, in my last video I did on my Sandero, good few people asked about this thing. What the plan is with this is simple. I'm going to ignore it until I make some sales, because I need to make some sales to put some money in my back pocket, and then we're going to try putting a belt on, because I think it may have just jumped a tooth or two. If that's the case, we can potentially, hopefully, save the engine, which is good, because it's a good low mileage engine, and if we have to put an engine in, expensive, that could end up costing well over £1,000. Could end up costing a couple of grand, which
Makes me want to cry. I'm not gonna lie to you. Anyway, we're not going to dwell on that because that, for the time being, does not exist. So I'm going to shoot a video for my Wednesday video on these two cars that I've just picked up. So if you want to see a bit more in depth and in detail looking around them, please do check that out. And yeah, you know what? I'm going to film it out here because it's lovely. They're absolutely lovely. Hopefully, it entices people out to come and buy some of my cars before I have to go to the job centre or something.
Let's see how much of a difference I can make here. I mean, we're getting there. It's not perfect, but I'm not searching for perfection. I just want to make it better. Yeah, I'm going to fiddle around a bit, see if I can get some of these low spots like this one here out. And maybe try and knock back a couple of these high spots. And try and see if I can, there's a couple of deeper dents here. Catch them there with the light. And then I'll see how it comes out with the polish. It's never going to be perfect. I'm never going to be able to get it perfect. It is still going to be a little bit wavy. But the main thing is getting it acceptable. I mean, like, compared to how it was, to me it looks a lot better so far. Actually, in person, it doesn't even look as bad as this. It looks a lot better in person. The camera is just making it a bit worse, I think. I mean, again, not perfect, but better. Could I get it better if I spent an absolute lifetime on it? As I said before, it looks a lot worse on camera, especially with the way it's reacting. It doesn't look as bad in person. I don't know. I mean, like, let's be fair, if I put it in for a test and it goes through not wanting any work, I could potentially just get that painted. But I don't want to go getting it painted to then spend an absolute fortune on it for its MOT. You know, kind of learned that lesson from the 2-round, really. You know, I made the 2-round look pretty, and then it went and broke down on the way for its MOT, and I've got a fortune tied up in it. But whereas this stands now, owes me what I bought it for, basically, in a little bit of time in getting it looking better. Is it perfect? No. Let's be fair, is anybody going to care? Probably not. For 1695, I think they'll be more bothered about underneath being right. So we'll just see. We'll play it by ear. You never know. Right then, so Friday. Let's wrap up the week. What's been happening? Not a great deal at the minute. I do have some fish on a hook. Whether I can reel them in, that is a different matter. I have a gentleman interested in the Clio and the Yaris. Is the gentleman that came to see the Colt and the Avio. When he did come to see them two cars on Saturday, he was open and honest. He says, look, I've seen you've got two cars coming in. I'm a bit more interested in them. But I'll have a look at these two. Don't want to waste your time. He did end up being a little bit more interested in the Avio. So maybe when he comes down, I think he's just wanting to weigh up his options. It's a car for his son, for his first car. So I think he's just wanting to make sure that he doesn't just go, yeah, you know, like a magpie to a shiny thing and go straight for one car. I think he's wanting to weigh up his options and make sure he gets the right car for them, which is fine by me. I do also have a gentleman interested in the Colt, a subscriber. Can't remember your name, I am useless with names. But I didn't get permission to mention you on the channel, so I won't. But it's a gentleman in Plymouth. So we're just trying to work things out. not a big fan of distance selling, if I'm being honest, but not really selling anything. So if a distance sale is going to get me a sale, I'll do it. But we're going to just make sure that every I's dotted, every T's crossed, and I've made him aware that in terms of transport, there's nothing to do with Foster's car sales. So he pays the transport company to take it down there, and vice versa. If something goes wrong, I am not responsible for getting it back. He is aware of the distance between us. So if something goes wrong, let's be fair, it's a cult. It's nothing really to go wrong on them. And you subscribers generally are a bit more clued up in a sense of what you're buying. I got to speaking to him, and he does watch other channels, so he is aware that it's an old car. At the end of the day, things can go wrong on old cars. It doesn't mean that they're rubbish. So yeah, so we've got that to work out. Whether we can do a deal there, who knows? It's more the transport that's the issue than anything. You're trying to make sure that you don't have somebody who's just going to put it on trade plates and rag it down to Plymouth, and vice versa. He doesn't want to pay too much, because it's kind of, what's the point if I'm paying so much for transport? Might as well just buy one down here. Luckily, down south cars generally have £1,000 extra on the price tag. So if he can work it out, he actually saves himself somewhere. I don't know why people in the south don't come up north. People who watch Chops Garage will know for a fine fact cars are more expensive. I think he had a Mazda 3. I looked at that and I was like, that's a £1,500 car. And he was like, I'm going to 2495 that. And I was like, so that's just the way it is. Down south, everything's more expensive. So if you're down south and you think to yourself, I need a new car, get yourself up here. So much cheaper. You can save yourself £1,000. Sometimes even more. A lot of traders are actually from the south travel up here to buy the cars and then transport them back down. So there you go. Lost my trail of thought now. Yes, there we go. Got it back. I had a brainwave in my ADHD-ness, as you just seen there when I lost my train of thought. I had a brainwave when I was driving home yesterday. So many car dealers in this game state the fact that when I started, I sold minis, I sold Fiat 500s, I sold just Igos and C1s. I did do that at one point. I was a very much Ford Fiesta, Ford Focus guy. I did bits in between, but regular viewers of mine all know a Mark 6 Fiesta. There was sometimes I had 3 of them, and I did okay out of them. And then there was Focuses as well. I always went for higher spec Focuses, but I kind of died off with them because they were starting to get issues with being a bit rotten, to be honest with you. So kind of veered away from them, and then I kind of just went for just cheap cars, any cheap car. But then that kind of leads me to an issue of having too much to kind of educate yourself about. The Yaris, for example, that's a Yaris 1.3 T3. If a customer comes and asks me, what's a T3 mean? I'm like, oh, I don't know. What does it mean? So I had a thought. I need to kind of get back to just focusing on one thing. What I am thinking that thing is going to be, now, as of everything in this world, it will divide opinions. There will people be like, oh, don't touch him, oh, do this and that. Look, there's always going to be that. So my thoughts are, I am going to kind of narrow myself down to Renaults and Dacias. Rather than just focusing on one car in particular. Like Clios, I do really well out of Clios. Meganes are good cars. You can get Twingos. If you start working your way up to more expensive cars, you've got Captras, you've got Kajars, you've got vans as well. You've got the Renault Traffic, the Kangoo, the Master. Options are endless, and then you can even add the Dacias into that and things like that. So I'm just kind of narrowing my focus so I can educate myself a bit more on these cars and just offer a bit better. And then you never know, traders will be like getting a Renault Clio in and like, I don't really want to deal with that. And then go to that guy there. And then I can do the same vice versa, rather than just dealing with a lot of different types of cars. I can narrow it down. Yes, don't get me wrong, I won't just have Renaults and Dacias out the front. Every now and then, if I get a chance to get a C1, something along them lines, I'll get it in. But my main focus is what I'll be tunnel visioning on a little bit is Renaults. I do well out of them. The blue Clio's gone down for its MOT. Wants a bottom arm, a few bulbs, and a service. You know what I mean? I don't want to be VWs, BMWs, Mercedes, Vauxhalls, things like that. So I'm kind of getting a focus on them sort of things, which I really think will be a good thing. I know there's going to be the middle-aged guys who are these, French cars. Renaults are good cars. They've kind of gone past the early 2000s when they had a ruck of freaking electrical problems. You could guarantee you're getting a Renault Scenic and at least 3 of the 4 windows aren't going to work and things like that. So hopefully we can get that thing sorted, and then it kind of just concentrates what I'm doing and gets me a bit of a focus. And I might get a reputation for dealing in them sort of things, and people will look and say, oh, he only seems to sell Renaults. It's going to be a good thing, right? Anyway, I'm rambling yet again. So all the usual socials will be in my description down below: Facebook, Instagram, website, and my eBay shop. If you are interested in anything or want to reach out to me, Facebook is the place to do it. I'm very methodical about that, and it's literally connected to my phone right in my pocket. So if I get a notification or a message, it goes straight to me. So if you're interested in something, reach out. But other than that, don't know why I did that. Strange. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.